Hey there, Earthlings. Thanks for tuning in to the Bardo Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Bardo, where we talk about health, happiness, and anything else that's important to us humans. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the podcast by visiting thebardo.com or just click the little subscribe button wherever you listen to the podcast. And be sure to check out my Instagram at thebardo for all the latest videos and content. Thanks so much and enjoy the episode.
You're just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Come here though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
What is going on? I told you I'd be back. See? You probably didn't believe me. I'm glad you guys are tuning in and you're being patient with me. I do ask you to subscribe if you have not already. I continue to put out at least one episode a week. I'm trying to put out more, but with my new job, it's been a little crazy. So be patient with me. I got a lot of fun guests coming up, like my guest today, Ben Mangum. We're gonna get into the episode in a bit, but Ben and I go way back. He actually filmed our wedding, and I cut up the video, and I've pretty much been there, and he's been there since I started my podcast, and I've been with him on his journey as he started his business, Blueprint Productions, which is located in Florida. He will come to you. He will take your business to the next level. Really good dude, great content creator where he's great at photo, video, and then of course he creates video cards for businesses all over Florida, but really good dude. So we're going to talk about content and where content is going, what the hell's been going on out there with TikTok and Instagram and running a business and all that jazz. Where do we see this going? And is this good for us, right? Is creating content or even consuming content, right? Because we're all consuming content, whether you're on Facebook for 5 minutes or you're on Instagram for an hour or you're on TikTok all day like I am when I'm not working, but because it's so addicting. But, we talk a lot about that, and it's an overall really fun educational podcast, and there's some great nuggets in there. So I think you're going to get a kick out of it. Let me know what you think. And be sure to follow Ben. His Instagram and all that stuff is in the description below. But before we get into today's episode, I do want to thank our sponsors over at Superfat. Superfat, you think I forgot about these guys? No, I don't. If I'm obsessed with these nut butters. I at least try to have a couple scoops once a day. Keto cookie bites are fantastic for like a little dessert, a little guilt-free dessert, because they're keto friendly. And a lot of their products are actually vegan friendly as well. So they have some great keto brownie mix and pancake mix that the wife and I indulge in every now and again. We even have a couple of videos where we made some of their keto brownie mixes for the holidays. So a lot of fun, all that's available on YouTube, by the way. But Superfat is so great because you can have all the guilty pleasures without the actual guilt. You can crave that sweet tooth with Superfat. All you got to do is go to superfat.com. Use the code Bardo10. Because you're listening to the podcast, you're going to get 10% off anything they have on their website. Again, go to superfat.com for that discount. And I also want to thank our friends over at Rainforest Bowls. You guys don't know Rainforest Bowls? Come on. Rainforest Bowls is great because not only do they have really cool, just good-looking kitchenware that you can pick up, silverware, bowls, plates, wine glasses, coffee mugs, whatever, but they have all types of great kitchenware that's not only going to make your kitchen look really cool, but it's all eco-friendly. So they actually take coconut shells and wood cutoffs that typically would just get burnt or thrown away or just tossed in the Amazon somewhere. But they actually take these and they repurpose them and they create all these utensils and bowls and all this fun stuff out of these coconut shells and wood cutoffs. So every single purchase that you make, not only it's eco-friendly, but it's also going to go back into planting more trees. Every single bowl that you purchase is going to go to planting a coconut tree seed. So you can be confident to know that your purchase is going to a good cause. And Rainforest Bowl is just doing some really great stuff. So it's really cool, and you can learn more at rainforestbowls.com. But if you want a discount, you can actually get 20% off your purchase by using the code TheBardo. And again, every purchase is going to go to a good cause. So I encourage you to at least check out what they have. And I don't think you'll be disappointed. They have a lot of cool stuff, so you'll enjoy that. But thank you, Rainforest Bowls. Thank you, Superfat. And thank you all who continue to purchase using my discount code, because obviously it helps support the podcast, but it helps support these great companies that I'm a big believer in. I use these products. If you follow me, you know that I do, and I wouldn't promote something that I don't believe. Check those cats out, and I'll leave the links in the description below. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Everyone, please help me welcome Ben Mangum. I appreciate hopping on. So this isn't, because I've
Content.
put out the content. No, but I've done a few podcasts here and there. I've had a couple guests on since I started this new gig. Man, I've just been so busy. Like the only time I could do it is either after work or like on the weekends, and it's been crazy. So I haven't had the time to really do it. I've had to back out like of so many different podcasts. I've had a couple guests on, booked, and then I just couldn't do it because of they want to do it at like noon on a Tuesday or whatever. It's just
Is there a topic that's been on your mind lately that you want to talk about? Like some kind of personal development type thing?
I think the one thing for me in particular, especially like as the pandemic's kind of like calming down a little bit, sort of, but like we've been at places together and events and restaurants and all that, and things are starting to get a little bit normal. What's weird to me is like from a content standpoint, it's almost better to create a lot. Like we always talk about create and do what you can to create. But then now there's just so much stuff out there and people are getting flooded, with so much information, and we're getting like so sensitive, I feel like as a population, as a race. And that's kind of what I want to dip into a little bit. Like how quality does your content have to be? Is it more, quantitative and it has to be like more the merrier, or, does there need to be a little bit of quality? Because now people are consuming content more than ever. So it's not like we want to, you hear all these like articles and shit about people getting canceled and cancel culture and all that stuff. And it's funny because would that happen if we didn't have phones? Probably not. If we start canceling people, now we're telling people what they can and can't create. So is that hurting the creation process? And is there too much thing as too much content, or should it be quality? Like I'm just kind of, it's fascinating
And
to
who
kind
are
of.
we?
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, who are we talking to? Like people who want to do their own thing, or like business owners, or
I mean, dude, what's going on, right? Like I don't know, who are we talking about? Like I'm kind of talking about, right? Like who's the audience? I mean, me, I kind of look at it like it could be everybody, it could be
Yeah.
businesses, it could be, because, now it's just so weird. I mean, even just the past 2 years, man, I mean, imagine how many millionaires have been created just off TikTok in 18
I don't
months.
know.
In 18 months. Hundreds.
I'm not sure how many. Yeah.
Hundreds.
It's crazy.
It's hundreds of people. And they're putting out all this content so they could do this. But, then you kind of look at it like, well, okay, so once they get big, now they're going to be under the microscope. And who's going to be judging them? What companies
Content
are
creators.
Yeah,
Okay.
like what companies are telling us what to create and what not to create, and are we in kind of this weird spot from a create? Because it wasn't like this just 2 years ago.
It's interesting.
I'm just kind of like, that's what I've been thinking about lately, because I hit millions of views on TikTok on some stupid videos, and we were talking about this the other night when we were at dinner. I'm thinking like as much quality content that I think I put out, there's just so much out there. It's like, are they able to have this outlet to actually express themselves the way they want to, or are they conforming to what gets the most views because that's how you become famous? And is that hurting the creation process?
Yeah,
that's how I
it
look
is,
at it.
for sure. Yeah.
You feel it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You're
Go
not
on, bud.
recording right now, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Or-
Yeah, we've been recording.
Oh, you are? Oh, shit. I would have been way more engaged. I thought
Well, I thought it was just you allowing me to rant my own Tony self that I always do, or I just go off.
I thought you were pre-framing what we were going to talk about.
Nah. You know me, bro. Just
Oh
press
my
record.
God, that's funny.
yeah.
No, I was just gonna say that I've been like lacking hard on content. It's been like a month or like 3 weeks at least since I've like gotten in front of the camera, and I think that may be a good argument to where someone will be like, well, if you're so focused on quality, maybe it's hindering you from going and creating, so maybe you're focused too much. And then there are, I'm just not a fan of like picking a trending song like on TikTok or a sound and then just like doing something just because you're going to get views alone. But I feel like you can still make something silly if it's genuine to you. Like
That's right.
the rat thing that you did. It's not like you copied something just to,
Do
you
it.
know.
Right.
That's the part where it's just like, okay, like we get it. Because there's just there's so many people that just take the sound and they do it, and it's like that didn't take any effort. So it's
You did nothing. Yeah. I also think this affects a lot of like what we do on a daily basis. When you go out to a restaurant, or if you're going to your favorite fast food chain, or you're going to a sports game or whatever, and all the employees, imagine this shitty, because I don't have a shitty job. I like to think I have a good job. And of course, ooh, speaking of which, what you drinking there, bud? Is that a Focus?
that crisp apple.
Ooh, have you tried this one? Is this the first time?
I have tried it. It's really good.
Yeah, crisp apple's my go-to.
Straight from Granny Smith. You feel me?
I feel ya. I feel ya. But that's a good segue. So yeah, starting this new job, like I love what I do now. It's just so much fun, and it's cool to work for a company that I believe in, and I believe in the product. But there's a lot of people out there that don't work at jobs they like. Maybe their jobs suck, and they go home and they drown their sorrows in their phone, and they look at all these folks that are like, like I follow a couple of these guys that started on TikTok just right when the pandemic started, and they started doing movie reviews and trailer reactions and all this stuff on TikTok. And now they're super famous with millions of followers. And Marvel Studios flew these guys out, a group of like 10 influencers that don't know each other. And they flew out, they collaborated, and they watched The Eternals, which is the new Marvel movie. And they watched The Eternals live premiere with all the celebrities interviewing them. These are kids that 2 years ago, they worked part-time at a fast food chain. So that's what's kind of scary, right? It's like you have your dead-end job, quote unquote, and I'm only saying that just, on a broad.
In general. Yeah.
But you have this job that you don't like, and you're half-assing it. You're not getting paid a lot. You're working your ass off. You go home, you have no, work-life balance. And then you go on your phone and you see these guys that all they're doing is creating videos, which, it's fun. They're entertaining. They entertain millions of people. But now you're the person that's cleaning the toilets at the fast food chain, and you have to see these folks hanging out with celebrities, making millions off their phone, staying on TikTok. And it's like, why don't I just do that? So it's like, is the quality of life of that janitor and their work, are they slacking on their work a little bit because they're seeing, because you have to have a lot of, heart and discipline to look at that stuff and be like, bro, that's one of a million. Like when I look at LeBron James, I don't say, oh, golly jeepers, I wish I played basketball, right? He's a metahuman. He's a different beast. But, these people that make millions off playing video games and all this stuff.
I could have done that.
Yeah, I could have done that. Like that's a legit thing I could have done. It takes no skill. In fact, it only took more practice. And those guys just played more video games than me. And when my parents told me I need to get a real job and stop playing video games, I listened to them. And then I did get a real job. And now these fuckers that didn't listen to their parents, the rebels, they're going off at e-games and, making millions just playing Call of Duty all day. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the subject matter of what you're talking about, what you're creating content around. Because if you're passionate about that subject, or if it's genuine to you and you like really enjoy watching about this stuff, and then you're doing a review on it, or you genuinely enjoy talking about this stuff, then like, yeah, just keep posting and posting and posting. Like, don't really worry too much about if it's perfect. But it's like, going back to the thing earlier, it's not like they're just putting a sound and then like just doing a dance or whatever. And it's like, if you actually dance, that's cool. But it seems like on their end, they're doing something that's genuine to them, and to some people, like, oh, I could have done that. But for me, I don't really watch Marvel like that, to where that wouldn't be genuine to me to just go and do that. So I think it comes down to like what you enjoy creating content around.
Yeah, exactly. No, and the whole reason I wanted to bring this up was because A, obviously you're working for yourself, but B, I also wanted to say, even if that does happen, is money the most important thing we need to be worried about? That's because what entitles us to be successful? Like what's the one thing that proves success. And I think we get clouded a little bit because of all this content that's going out and all these creators and all these influencers and all this stuff. And it's almost like I think we forgot that we all just need to calm down, take a deep breath, relax. Everything's going to be okay. You don't have to be a millionaire to be happy. And whether that's, like you said, you're creating content just to create it, that's great. But we shouldn't create content, or we shouldn't do our jobs necessarily because of the money. Of course, money's important, and you want to, work a job to where you can grow and make money and support your family. But at the end of the day, as long as we do what we love, I mean, is money that important? I think that's the thing we all have to ask ourselves, because that's the one thing that's kind of like, it's a little funky right now because there is so much money people are making. It's the grass is greener almost. Why do we need money though? We need money to buy shit that we don't really need.
Yeah, I
You know,
think
like
that question I think that question is relative to who you ask and what their situation is and where they're at with everything. Because I think, yeah, once you start to make more money, you ask questions like that, and you
right.
start to ask like, well, okay, well, I've got what I want. I've got the TV or whatever,
Yeah.
the phone and stuff, and then you ask if you're happy or not, or like
Yeah.
what the rest of your life looks like with happy with yourself, happy with your relationships. So it's a yeah, it's a deep topic, really. I know that sounds corny, it's so deep, but
So deep, put your ass to sleep. Had to lighten the mood there
uh,
real quick.
yeah.
Yeah, but it is, I don't know, man. I've just been thinking a lot lately because, especially when I was unemployed for so long. And, I'm very fortunate because we didn't struggle with money when I wasn't working. But it's only because for 15 years I was responsible. Like it's just a good example would be I thought about creating a content series on YouTube or maybe TikTok where it would be just 2-minute clips of teaching people how to live off a $30,000 budget, like an annual income, 30 grand. And I thought that would be impactful, but then I'm also thinking to myself, that wouldn't go viral, which means I would only impact 20, 30, 40, 50 people, which maybe that's enough. I don't know. But all these people that do make money and they have these platforms, I just don't see a lot of like good coming out of it. And that's kind of what's, as a creator, I think to myself, because again, we talked about this too, where like I've put out podcasts and clips where I get people that message me and text me and say, yo, dude, this really helped me. I changed my life because of XYZ, like in a private chat, whatever. But that video has 500 views. And then I'm like, all right, well, how do I take good content that's educational and how do I get it to the masses? And with people already having these platforms, it would be nice if I don't have to worry about that, because that's stuff I enjoy talking about. And I love talking about it, but it's almost like I wouldn't pay for a psychiatrist if he was a brick wall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Entertain before you educate,
right.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the key. And that's what I'm trying to do is like build up my following and my platform. And then once I get to that point, then I can kind of mold it a little bit more from an educational standpoint. But I just think it's so funny how we don't really think about that a lot. We always want more. We always, for some reason, this like the last decade has been, your generation in particular, it all falls on you, Ben. It's all your fault. But all this like hustle and, the Gary Vee mentality, right? Just fucking do it. Just go, but why? Like, what do we, for what? What are you trying to do? You open up a multi-million-dollar company for what? Okay. You want to buy a couple of houses? Why do you need a couple of houses? Why do you need the 5 Lamborghinis? Why do you need this? Give me the why. Because what's the end game, right? Like, how many Lamborghinis is too many Lamborghinis? Because we all go into the ground with no money. Are you doing it for your family? Okay, that's beautiful. That's a great story. But how many people are single making a shit ton of money that aren't doing it for their family? They're doing it, so they could brag and buy a bunch of shit and cool shit. And I was mainly thinking about that, again, when I was unemployed, where it was like, what if I didn't buy this a year ago? What if I didn't? I would have more money. And I'm thinking, anything can happen at any given time, and we just don't think the worst sometimes. Sometimes we always think so far ahead that we forget you got to plan for the now a little bit too, you know what I mean, and prepare for the now.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. Hustle culture is really, I feel like it's very surface level to where like they think that they're helping people, but people look at whatever you think is success, like the really nice house, the really nice cars, flying private, the designer clothes,
Yeah.
but you didn't take any time to learn about yourself and what makes you happy and what you really want. And I think when you really start to learn more about what you want, then you can start to reverse engineer. And it's not like you're settling, but it's like, okay, I can feel content or I can feel at peace with myself and my life because this is what I want
That's right.
compared to just wanting something because you see it on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point. And that's kind of one thing I love about TikTok more than Instagram is I feel like TikTok is a little bit more authentic in terms of like what these people actually are. Um, so I think when you find creators on TikTok, it's more genuine than maybe Instagram. Instagram has become, such a plethora of ads and filters and kind of like that quote unquote. I mean, there's a reason why there's a meme, right? Instagram versus reality.
Hmm.
That was manifested like in real time. Like that's real. It's because there's this perception of Instagram is not reality, essentially, is what that means. And,
Yeah.
life's tough, man. Life's tough. There's a lot of ups and downs that you're going to deal with. And I think it's okay to get excited about those downs because those downs make you a better human, I think. Sometimes when we think there's more good out there and there's more exciting shit and, there's more success. And if you hustle and you do this, you're going to make money and you're going to get this and you're going to be Logan Paul and you're going to be the Instagram guy and you're going to make all this money. Like all that's cool. But, it's like Macaulay Culkin. Ask him how his life was when he was famous as a kid. He's not doing too well. It's because he didn't have time, to your point, like really soak up, himself and find out what he wanted to do. I bet if you went back when he was a kid and you asked him as a kid, hey, what do you want to be? You want to be an actor your whole life? He's probably going to be like, no, I want to be, a spaceman. Or I want to, like when he was filming Home Alone, that wasn't his goal, was to be famous. He probably just wanted to hang out with his friends and go on a skateboard and shoot the shit. But now it's too late. His whole life is that moment. So is it better living through the lens of our phones? Are we thinking down the road? Is this what I really want?
Yeah. And I think it breeds a lot of comparison, just social media in general, because look at stuff from like a business standpoint, you compare yourself to other people who seem like they're doing really well in life. They've got all these clients that look really busy, and you can both be successful in your own ways. And you don't have to have the same, like, you don't have to do business the same way. You can build your life in different ways. Social media creates a lot of comparison, and you can look at somebody who's in the same industry as you, but you don't have to build your life the same way. You don't have to build the same type of business and have, say, the same amount of clients. There's a lot of different ways that you can do things so that, you see the behind the scenes, or you see, the Instagram posts. And I mean, really, that can lead to depression of just like, oh, well, I must not be that good, or I must not be this or that. And I think it comes down to not knowing yourself and what you want. And then you got to be like secure in that and remember that why you're doing things, and that will hold you like, feel secure in what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot to that for sure. I had a podcast a few episodes back where I talked about mental health, and I kind of read off, like 10 steps on how to improve mental health, and a lot of it was, disconnecting from social media. It's a lot, and it's not just a lot like mentally to handle. Like when you see those celebrities, because it's way different now. Like when you think about, and you're old enough to where you can appreciate this, but me, because I'm 36, I mean, I go back to like the 90s of we used to watch celebrities on TV, and you only saw a certain amount of celebrities and videos and stuff. Like, so it's not like there was but there wasn't really like a need. It's like I don't want to be those celebrities because I only saw a few of them. It was few and far between. It wasn't, but now you see everybody. You see people that are famous, people that aren't famous. You see people with filters and not filters. You see, don't body shame people if they're over 140 pounds, but if they're less than 140 pounds, they're anorexic. If they're 110, like there's so much information.
So
We're
much
like,
yeah.
it's every day, right? Like, and one thing I did in particular, and that's why I'm really trying to focus more on like my mental health. Like I got this ice bath that I'm doing, and we're gonna get a sauna. We're gonna do more yoga, and we're just gonna kind of like disconnect because it's gonna get to the point, especially with Zuckerberg announcing this shit with Meta. Did you hear about all this?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, bro. So this clown's like, hey, listen, this phone is not enough. You know what we need to do? We need to put it on your face,
Live
and
in a virtual reality.
and you need to go home. And when you go home and you wake up in the morning, you put on your fucking VR, your Oculus. Of course, it's got to be an Oculus, Meta's company. You put on your Oculus and you work from home, but you have your Oculus on all day. And it's AR technology and it's molding with real life versus that. And then if you want to play basketball, you go outside and you play basketball with friends with your Meta device on. It's like, so my entire life I'm going to be wearing the screen? Like, what? What are you doing to us, Zuck? What an asshole. Because you know what sucks about that?
Yeah, it's a lot.
You know what sucks about that? This clown is making us do all this and wants to push all this. It's a dick move that he's doing. But then I says to myself, I go, I'm going to buy it though, because that looks awesome. It's like we're at this point where it's just so cool. Like imagine if you ever do the trick of like putting your phone on the table, like when you're eating dinner and not look at your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do that, and we also don't watch TV. It's probably one of the hardest things I do on a daily basis. It's a problem.
Yeah, we haven't been strict on it in a while, but we try to put the phones on the table while we're watching the movie at night. And yeah, even just like before bed and you're scrolling, it's like, what am I, like, I'm not even looking at anything. Like it's nothing. Like, it's just.
It's that dopamine hit, bro.
Mm-hmm. It's that crack.
You get a little
It's
bit
that
of
focus.
a little bit of cocaine, like cracking. That's it, man. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, we find ourselves too definitely scrolling. And the thing is, people are so interesting. I think that's what it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I talk a lot about this, but I always want to like meet people, and I'm a people person, right? I just like interacting with people and talking with people and spending time with people. And it's hard to do face to face, especially if, this pandemic's going on or you have family or friends far away. The phone and these social media apps kind of allow us to have that human interaction. Sort of. I think it is a little bit of a dopamine hit. If you look at it, if you listen to psychologists, that's what they say, right? It's like no different than taking a drug. But what's crazy is like our body doesn't know what it is. So it's not like it's saying, oh, this one's the phone, so let's give him a hit of dopamine.
Ones and zeros, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of good that we are able to at least do this, I guess. Because imagine if it didn't exist and we were all locked down, you'd only be hanging out with Rachel the whole day, right? Like, and that's not good either, because interacting with just one person, there's a lot of competition and there could be resentment down the road, and you want other interaction with people. So it's kind of good, but it's a weird spot because now we're like too far to the wrong side. I think we need to find that middle ground where it's like a little bit of phone, a little bit of interaction with people, right? We're too far gone, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's cool that we have the technology to be able to communicate, but at the same time, like, spending genuine time with people without the phones, you feel a lot better afterwards. Like, you just feel different compared to a Zoom call.
That's so true. Well, even this right here, I mean, we just had dinner, the other night, and I'm hating this.
Yeah.
What we're doing, you and I, right now, this is garbage. Like, I mean, we've done podcasts, a lot of podcasts face to face.
Just because technology can be a pain in the ass too.
Yeah. And like, I was in the middle of a sentence and you interrupted me just because you lagged out. Like, you didn't know. It's not your fault. But fucking technology, bro. Like, so you're not able to kind of experience that human, like, the way we're supposed to. It's so crazy, man. But goddamn, what are we supposed to do with that? I mean, now all these companies are going remote now. Brenda just got the word 100% remote. No way in fucking hell they're going back to the office. No way. That means she's going to be looking at a screen and she's going to be looking at people as long as she has this job. She's never going to interact with people from work. That's crazy. Think about that. You're never going to physically see people at your job. What?
That is a very new concept, yeah.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah, for sure. Because, for example, I'm in a networking group and you meet every week, and we're on Zoom for uh, a little over a year, and we've been in person about 2 months now, and I just feel so much more connected to the people there because you're supposed to give each other referrals and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
I've
cool.
given more referrals ever since we've been back for the past 2 months compared to that like whole time. You just feel like you care about those people a lot more being in person. Now for businesses, sure, if it's they probably save a lot of money not having people in person, or some people may like working at home better. So
Yeah, again, it depends on the business, and that's why, getting out, being active and, going for a run or joining a gym or doing a yoga class or a cycling class or something, just having that, there's something special about like doing a competitive thing. If you're not doing a networking class, which is great. I used to do those all the time. I need to get back to doing it. But if you're not doing that, you got to do something like it in group setting because I think there's something cool about looking over at somebody and knowing that they're doing the same thing you're doing. And maybe it's not a competitive thing, but you remember like in class, like chemistry class or you're in science class or whatever, and you're dissecting the frog and you're doing all this stuff. And then you look over at those other people that are doing it and like they cut the frog open a little bit more than you did. And you're like, hey, motherfucker, now I'm gonna beat you. Like it's kind of it's that
yeah,
cool thing where there's no
it's good.
communication, but there's something happens that there's this fun competitive thing that you have. I think we all got to get back to that at some point. You got to do something like that.
Yeah, like can you imagine being homeschooled or being
Ugh.
on virtual school? Ugh, no,
And those
I
poor,
would have hated that.
yeah, those poor parents too. Jesus. I mean,
No.
when I was a kid, I was even more upset when I was home. Like I enjoyed going to class. I was like, you get off the bus, and you're like, oh, I got to see my parents again.
Yeah.
you know, But now these kids, these poor kids, are in school all day. They're just at home, and then they end up going
It
back to school.
breeds a lot of weirdness, not in a good way.
Not
Just
in a good
like
way. A lot of Jeffrey Dahmers, a lot of Ted Bundys are going to come from this. I think like there's going to be some weird folks, but
and I mean, this is gonna get really dark, but just the poor kids where their parents are abusers and stuff like that. They gotta stay home and all these like
yeah,
weird, just a lot of crazy shit.
yeah, dude. Well, and I mean, if I'm a parent and I had to homeschool, it's going to be hard not to give them an iPad and just put them in a corner, right? And it's like, what's the long-term
Mhm.
side effects of that? But
Yeah.
at the same time, you got to be kind of empathetic a little bit because these parents probably have a job as well, so they're trying to like stay focused, and you can't do both. They don't get paid enough, you know. Maybe they have to nanny. They may have to spend more money on a nanny or something. Like there's just so many moving parts, and I don't think we're thinking a lot of this stuff through. We're just kind of like, I don't know if it's politically driven or if it's just, we're trying to do the best we can because this is something new. But I mean, the Spanish flu was worse than this shit, and this like just rocked us. Just our country, like other countries are handling it much differently. I don't know if they're handling it better. I mean, who am I to say? But my opinion is we're definitely not the ones handling it the best. That's for sure. I don't know if we're the
Yeah.
worst, but I know we're not the best practice. It's not like other countries are like, did you guys hear what the USA is doing with this thing? Oh, it's revolutionary. It's fantastic. No one's saying that. We just have the cool shit like Amazon and Facebook and Silicon Valley. So we're cool from a financial standpoint because we like scamming people and taking money. But the health and well-being of our countrymen, I don't know if we are the best practice. I don't
And
know.
then you add on top of it, Rachel and I were talking about this recently. I shouldn't even be saying this on your podcast. Just like there's so many obese people. There's like just so many people who are overweight. And like I feel like it's related because you were mentioning
Yes.
COVID and it's just like in
Yes.
the US, like it's crazy.
It's nuts. Well, there's a reason why we have the most cases and continue to have this happen, whether we have the vaccine or not. It's, yeah, because it's obesity. It's 100% that. And that's totally okay. In fact, I encourage you to talk about that on my podcast because I talk about it too much. And people think I'm fucking crazy. Where they're like, why do you keep, so I've even had people that say it's fat shaming, saying that they should. Yeah, it is. And you know
Yeah,
what?
I am fat shaming you,
Yeah, fat shaming is a
fatty.
good thing. Okay? Fat shaming is a good thing because if you're fat, you're unhealthy. Okay? We're not saying you're ugly because I don't care what you look like, because I don't
I'm
want
not
to
saying
have
you're a bad person.
yeah, and I don't want to have intercourse with you, even if you were skinny or fat. Doesn't because I'm married. Like this is not about your looks, bro. This is about your health, well-being, and longevity of life. That's what it's about. So when someone says fat shaming, like, do they think we're fat shaming you because we don't like how you look because you're not attractive? No, bro. It's because you're going to die soon. You need to change your body mass. That's it. It's easy. You're gonna feel better. Like poor Adele. You remember what
Weren't
happened
you
to
a
it?
personal trainer
Yeah.
before? Yeah, you should get back to it.
Yeah, I know. Well, dude, I was
You're
like,
gonna die.
I was this close to starting my own at-home training gym, but I was going to call it community training fitness. And I was just going to invite everybody in the neighborhood to come to my house, and I was just going to train them. And it was going to be like this thing where you could pay me or not pay me. Doesn't matter. You could give me $5, you can give me $100 per session, whatever you can afford. Just come by and let's get healthy together. I was probably 2 weeks away from being unemployed more, and I would have done it. I wrote up like a business plan and everything. I was going to do an LLC, like the works. But
I could see you being on one of those Peloton bikes, just talking like, "Hey, you're not a bad person. You're just fat." Like,
I would be my buddy Justin always says that when I was a trainer, I was like I was like Ben Stiller in dodgeball. Like I was that dude.
I can totally see it. Or what's the other one? With the kids at fat camp.
It had Ben Stiller in it. Is that what you're saying? Ben's pondering.
Heavyweights.
Oh my God, heavyweights. God, that's so old school. That's great.
Yeah.
I forgot
That's
about
you.
that. That is me. That is more like me. Yes. This definitely opened up a lot of people's eyes. I know a lot of friends and family members that are like starting to get into shape now, which is good. You know, even my wife, you know, she's in great shape. She was in better shape, but I think we all maybe got a little laxy-daisy with COVID. It's just bound to happen. Depression and, you know, wine is in the fridge. Like, it's bound to happen, right? But she's been working out like 3-4 times a week now. She's getting back to it. And she FaceTimes her friend that also wanted to change. And there's a couple of my friends that are dealing with the same thing where they're like, they need to get back into shape. And their body's like changing as they've never seen before. It's because we have never gone this long without human interaction. And then, of course, going outside and getting vitamin D is important. Having that interaction, there's certain hormones and chemicals in your brain, like dopamine, things like that, where you feel differently. And when you're not depressed and you start getting excited and you start getting your adrenaline going and your body changes, your heart rate goes up and down, your blood flows better. You know, when you're not seated so much, you're standing more and you're active more. Naturally, your body's going to change shapes. I mean, there's a reason why, you know, chimps and gorillas, they have huge upper body strength. It's because they're using, you know, their upper body to kind of crawl right on all 4 legs. And that's kind of how, like, we evolved to. We didn't evolve to sit down. We evolved to stand up and be active. So when this COVID thing happened, I mean, it's going to open up a lot of people's eyes if it hasn't already.
Yeah, I've been editing a lot too much because I've got a bit of a belly and my pants aren't fitting as easily. So
Oh boy, we got to get one of those standing desks, bud. That's what I have.
that'd be sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are good. They're like $300. That's that easy. You have like a regular table. You can go on Amazon and you just get the legs that are motorized, and you just put the table on top of it. That's what I got.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, America. Fuck yeah. All right, we had some good little spiffs there. People are gonna get some value out of this, I think. No?
I dig it. So
And
I'm
what's your-
excited for that.
What's your website? Good little shout out.
BlueprintProductionsFL.com.
FL.com.
I'm just over here speaking,
That's okay.
not thinking about it.
You just got to remember, anytime you see me, just expect that I'm recording. That's somehow.
Right? I'm over like, oh yeah, I probably wouldn't have mentioned that, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, dude. It's all good, man. I could edit shit out. No big deal. But this is what I love about podcasts, the authenticity of it. You know? Not editing is the way to go. There's been talks in the past of like removing, I think even Facebook used to have the dislike button, the thumbs down. You remember that?
Like way back? I'm
Way
trying to
back.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to have it. Yeah, no, obviously now they don't. But YouTube still has it.
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot to that. There's a lot to, you know, seeing those. I mean, they're able to censor comments. There's nothing worse than not. Actually, I take this back. I think the worse than not getting a like at all is getting a thumbs down. Like,
For sure.
like I don't even look at YouTube. unless it's a comment. And then if it's a legit comment, I like to engage with the audience as much as I can. Yeah, dude, there's nothing worse than a thumbs down. Like one video had like, I don't know, 5,000 views and like 200 thumbs down. And I'm like,
That's quite a bit.
that's a lot. I mean 5,000 thumbs ups and 200 thumbs down. And that's a lot of thumbs downs in ratio. And you know what I mean? You know, I tell myself I'm stronger than no big deal. I don't give a fuck. 200, whatever. Make it 1,000 next time, fuckers. But then in the back of my head, I'm like, that's a lot though. Like 200 people's a lot of people.
Something I said.
Right.
Is it the movie choice?
Yeah. And you know,
Is it my hair?
Yeah, exactly. It's most likely the hair. And you know, it could also be like it was one of those videos where it was a review, and I thought my review was very unbiased. I thought it was very objective. But you know, maybe someone like I said, "Hey, what's up, guys?" and they just didn't like my intro, and boom, thumbs down. Like even
This guy's a fag.
yeah, what a fag with this intro. No, but that's what's someone, I forget which video it was, but it was like one of my first YouTube videos after you and I filmed the intro, the new intro. And I thought my intro was like the way we sliced it together. I just thought it was dope as fuck. I'm very proud of it. Yeah, someone commented like the first couple videos and they're like, yeah, I was going to subscribe, but that intro sucks. And I'm like, the only person that's ever said that in my life. And I'm like, what? And I go back in his channel and he's got the stupidest content. And I almost wanted to say something, but like, no, I'm going to take the high ground. But in the back of my head, I'm like, bro, like if you're going to leave something that raunchy, give me some feedback. Tell me what you think should be better. Because I'd like to know. Maybe he has good criticism. But to say something like that when I know that that is a dope-ass intro.
They're like, the bicep curls make you look like a douche or something like that. So I feel like that would have been more constructive than just like,
yes,
intro sucks.
And I mean, honestly, I probably would have edited it out and took out the bicep curls. Well, no, because that looks good too, though. I had a good point going. I don't want to take that out. That is a reality right there, buddy. That is not an Instagram filter.
How do you like that new intro?
I love it, man. It's great. It's perfect.
Well, we got to add to it now, like you getting in the ice bath, like
yes, naked,
something like that.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, at
Butt
least
naked.
just shirt off. That's fine.
Okay. No, yeah, the ice bath, the sauna. Well, I love it because it encapsulates everything that I do, that I love. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about, right? It's like content. Like, what do you, that douchebag John 0642 or whatever his fucking name was, even if he didn't like it, who cares? You know, you can't let that stuff get to you. But as long as you're creating stuff that you like and doing things you like, I think that's the key.
Yeah,
to make
for
you
sure.
happy.
I've actually been having trouble with that lately. Of like, so I post content on LinkedIn or Facebook to get clients. That's the reason why I post. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
To market. And like sometimes I'm like, you know, maybe I should make a YouTube channel about this, like, you know, video marketing or like marketing in general, or how you can make your own videos or something like that. And I'm just like, I don't really like talking about this stuff. Like I enjoy helping business owners and how it helps them, and like I like that part of it, like having that relationship with them, seeing them reach their goals and stuff like that. But like I don't want to like sit around all day talking about how you can automate a process with different videos, or like I don't know, it doesn't really like, so I've been having trouble of like, I don't know. And then I see Rachel, like she's killing it, and I'm so happy for her. Like she's enjoys talking about fashion and makeup and stuff like that. I feel like I should be posting something because I'm capable.
And you know, this is kind of what, in the 48 minutes that we've been speaking, this is kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. You just encapsulated everything, because like you create content. That's what you do. You do it for businesses. That's what your whole business, and you're really great at it. You're great at it. And everybody that's worked with it will say the same thing. But there's so much pressure, not necessarily to you, but just out there, man. There's so much pressure that, Ben, you should be doing something on YouTube. But you don't have to. But, you know, that's like saying, hey, Ben, don't think about elephants. What are you going to think about? You're going to think about fucking elephants.
Elephants.
Yeah. It's like, that's what's funky, man, is, you're not going to make as much money as, let's say, Rachel will off YouTube ever if you don't start it, right? But it's like, who cares? But you could say that to your mind, who cares? I don't need that. Let Rachel do it, whatever. But in the back of your head, there's a lot of fucking people that are less talented than you that are doing it, and you could do it, and you could be great at it. But if you don't want to do it, then the content's not going to be where it needs to be. And that's kind of like, that's where we're talking about that gray area of the pressure that we get on one side and then like the quality of content on the other. It's like you're in this weird space where if I go do something I'm uncomfortable with, my quality might, lower a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting to where like video is a hobby of mine, but at the same time, I don't go and post for fun anymore. Like 5 years ago when I was going to Colorado, I would post like travel videos, and like I have like zero desire to do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny how it like transitions to where it's, and at that point in time, social media, it still is, but like that travel Instagram or YouTuber was very popular at that time. So that kind of is like an influence at that time. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been lost on like what I should post about or what I wanna,
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, just by talking to you and from what I know of you, I think if you were to create anything, I think you should create exactly what you're saying.
what?
Is you just look at a camera, or maybe it's a podcast or audio, whatever, but you talk about how you don't know and kind of walk yourself through the process of not knowing. I think that's interesting. You don't necessarily have to post it, but maybe you document it, and maybe a year from now you'll see a journey come from it, or maybe you won't. Maybe you won't
Yeah.
ever share it with anybody, but I think that's kind of an interesting practice where you can talk through it and talk about the frustration of it, because I think people could relate to it a lot more than you think, probably. I think people would relate more to what you're saying than what Rachel does, if I'm being honest.
Sure. Yeah, two different people maybe. No, it's funny. I feel like in the past year or so, I've gotten being aware of yourself, or people call it consciousness, or
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like reading books about like law of attraction, or learning about yourself, and like being more in control of your life and your emotions and stuff like that. And that's kind of what I listen to a lot, or like the books and stuff. There's content on YouTube about that kind of stuff, like manifestation, or
Sure.
like letting go of a feeling, or whatever. And it's like I don't want to like give information because I feel like I'm not knowledgeable enough to do that. But
Right.
yeah, it's funny.
One, I mean, that's definitely that's good that you're self-aware enough to do that. And I even say that when I put stuff out there, because I talk a lot about different topics, some that are a little bit squirrelier than others. And that's one of the first things I say is, listen, I'm not the
You're
expert.
squirrely for sure.
Like this is one I did on mental health. One of the first thing I said is, I'm not an expert. And if you have a mental illness or you feel like you're being depressed, you should seek professional help. I'm just here to kind of read off a few things that I read off the internet. That's what I say. But, the reason I do it, and the reason I tell you that it might be good practice for you to just document that bullshit, is because a lot of people could relate to, like, I don't know what to do. What do I do for a job? What do I do? Do I create this content? Should I put out? Because there is so many people on the other side of the spectrum, Ben, that are doing the fucking Gary V's of the world, where it's like, create content now. Even if you don't know what to create, just film. And you're like looking at that, you're like, that makes no sense. Why would I do that? Why would I just, if I'm not putting out content to educate people, then I'm just putting out another page of useless garbage. And I think that's why we have a lot of useless garbage out there, is because people know that, listen, if there's a wreck on I-4, you're going to whip out your phone, you're going to film it, you're going to stop and look at it, because people like tragedy, and they like excitement, and they like anger, and that's why they like horror movies, and that's why we like action movies, and we like to see shit blow up. So when people have that mentality and they go create content, there's no quality in that content. It's not real. It's not authentic. And I think that's why TikTok blew up so much, is because there is less filters. Of course there is filters where you could fuck around with, but it's not like you're sitting in the background with a fucking beauty product and you're like,
it's more raw.
just living my best life on the beach. And if you want to live your best life, check out Ella's beauty here. Like, that's not on TikTok. TikTok's like farting and, scaring your spouse and like real shit. And I think that's why it's funny. And I think if you did more of that where, I've thought about that too, where just like looking at the camera and just talking about how much I hate YouTube. And the only reason I document and videotape stuff is because I like doing the movie reviews and I like doing all that shit. And it gets a lot of views. It gets more views than my podcast on YouTube. But then my podcast on audio does better than anything I do, obviously. It's just kind of like that weird thing where I'm only doing it because I just like doing it. And if someone likes it, cool. But if they don't, who gives a shit? But then as this has grown into what it is, it's comforting to know that if 5% of my listeners message me at some point and say, yo, dude, I like this episode, I like that episode, not only does it give you comfort that people are actually listening, but some of these people I don't even know. Like, I've never met them. And that's kind of fun because they learned something or they gave it to a friend or family and they learned it. And I never started it to do that. That's why I kind of said, like, bring up what you're talking about, which is you don't know what you're doing, but documenting it would be interesting because there's so many people out there that don't know what to do. And there is so much pressure to create content, but you don't need to create content. But no one is out there saying, because it's kind of like contradictory, right? Like, could you imagine if like Peter McKinnon on YouTube was like doing a whole video of, all right, guys, stop creating content?
Yeah,
Because that's his whole life. That's all he does.
for sure.
But imagine the disruption. That's why I really appreciated Matt Diavella. You follow him?
Yeah, minimalism guy.
Yeah, he did that YouTube course, that anti-YouTube.
Yeah.
That's fucking genius, bro. It's pretty much like a add-on, a Google Chrome add-on, where it will not eliminate, but it will hide your likes, your views on YouTube, the comments. It'll get rid of all that. And that,
Yeah,
to
I don't
me,
know
is,
about that.
yeah. Oh, you don't? Oh no, dude, you need to check
No.
it out. It's called well, he started this company, Slow Growth. Essentially, you're creating content for you, not for anybody else. And it's this whole course, and he has this other program where you can actually buy this extension for Google Chrome, and it hides all the analytics for YouTube. Super interesting. But to me, that's the disruptor.
Yeah, that sounds boring as fuck. But no, I see where it's beneficial to the human brain.
Yeah.
No, I'm just being an asshole.
I'm going to tell Matt that you said that. Yeah, you need to see it. I'm going to send it to you after this. It's just interesting because that's not going to get a lot of love. Because YouTube is...
That's what I meant,
Yeah.
really.
YouTube is a company that you don't want to fuck with, obviously. But because he blatantly says YouTube. I mean, it's an extension for YouTube. But it doesn't really affect YouTube's business model. It's just a way to kind of keep... But could you imagine if someone was out there saying, hey, keep your content this way and that way to help your mental stability? You don't want to put out a lot of content. You don't want to do... That's the opposite of every single social media app.
Totally.
So, I don't know. What's the right way and what's the wrong way? That's kind of what we're talking about is like, that's the funky thing. I don't know. I'd rather have 0 followers and have a very peaceful, meaningful life than have, millions and millions of followers like Dave Chappelle and the poor guy gets canceled. It's fucked up.
Yeah. That is fucked up. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like how have you, like, with your channel, I feel like for you it's easy to like label you and your interests, like,
Mhm.
you're vegan, you like to make pizza, you work out, fucking you're into Marvel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's so funny how, like, for me, and I think it relates to my business too, where like I help other people tell their story, or like I help other people market, and it's easy for me to help other people, but then I'm like, for me, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'd talk about. I'm like,
No, I
how
get
did
you.
you how do you have you ever overthought that, like, for yourself? But you have a lot of different interests where it's just like I feel like you just do it.
Yeah, that's what's weird is I haven't really thought about it too deep. I have, like consciously I'm aware that there is a lot that I do, and my wife points it out all the time. And I think that could be kind of a bad thing, like from a content perspective. but I just don't care, I guess. Like, I don't care.
Mhm.
Like, this whole like personal brand bullshit, I think is a really stupid way to speak of humans. Like, I feel like what's my personal brand this year is different than what it was 5 years ago. So is that really my personal brand if it's changing? Like, Nike hasn't changed their logo in 3 decades. Like, what are we talking about? What's a brand? What's the definition of a brand? A brand is
Yeah,
something
your
that,
values and
yeah.
stuff.
So I think your values change, and I think a lot of things change. So, I mean, as long as you're true to that brand, that is your personal brand. But, we always talk about, there's a couple influencers in particular that I know that, say, hey, man, like, you should stick with the health and wellness thing. Like, don't do the geek thing. I'm like, what do you mean don't do the geek? Like, that's, like, do you know me? And I've known these people
Yeah.
for years. I mean, a long time.
Yeah, you're a nerd. Like,
Yeah,
fucking own it. You know what I'm saying?
have you seen my office, motherfucker? Like, what? What are you talking about? Don't do the geek thing. What a weird thing to say. I looked at them. I thought they were kidding. And like, well, you would get more like views if you just focus on like the fitness aspect and this and that. I was like, bro, listen to what you're saying right now. Why? I'm not doing this for a stranger that is listening to my podcast. I'm doing it because I like to do it. Whatever. I have a
Yeah.
job. Like, I'm not, I'm not thinking too much
empowering.
about it. Yeah. And it's just so many people have that mindset of even companies. What's our brand? I don't know. Look at all the companies that have happened since the pandemic and, the Black Lives Matter and everything that happened with George Floyd. Like, brands have changed, right? Like, we've gone back and Disney has changed and edited movies because it's not on par with their brand now. That's kind of crazy. Like, I don't want to be that person where I'm doing something now just because it's trendy and then I end up going back on it because trends change. But as long as I'm doing what I do and like to do, then I'm true to myself and that's not going to change. 20 years from now, someone could go back and look at my tweets and I'm 100% confident I won't get canceled. Like, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. Why do you make content then?
I honestly don't know. I think maybe in the back of my head, I wanted to monetize it. It literally all started organically with my first podcast. And I love talking, as you know. I love hearing people's ideas and opinions. And, it just so happens that podcast was the outlet that worked best for me. Like, you can even go back on my YouTube. I think I even might have hit it because they were so awful. But I had this YouTube channel where it was like a TV show, and I called it Getting Socialized before.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, thank God. But it was like just me talking to a camera about what happened today. It was almost like vlogging before it was vlogging. And I think I might have it somewhere in the archives, but I just like doing it. And Brenda, I've been with her almost 7 years. And from day one, she just didn't want to listen to me for more than like 2 hours at a time. So every time she'd like give me the look where it's like, oh, okay, it's halftime. All right, I need to go step away. And I would go step away and just like record. And then I just really liked it and then like doing it so much that I didn't care. And then, now it's like me spending all this money on studio shit. And I mainly do it because I just want the quality when I do have followers and listeners that listen to it. I want them to enjoy the experience and be able to watch it on their big screen if they wanted to. It makes me feel good when like people like, they'll tag me, they'll watch it on their like TV or they'll share their screen and they'll tag me on and they're like, oh, I'm listening to this podcast with Tony and Brenda and it's hilarious. And like, that makes me feel good because I don't want to be like famous like that. Like, I like to Netflix and chill, of course, like everyone else does. But there needs to be a few things that you watch and listen to that you learn a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like in some podcasts and some of the content I do, it gives a good escape from the bullshit fake stuff out there and that people could listen to me, but also learn a little something and maybe laugh a little bit and maybe like listen to some cool guests that maybe they haven't met before and network that way. Because networking's fun and I'm a big believer in networking. But it's challenging, especially for an introverted person.
Yeah.
The content I create is like a good way to be an extrovert in your own home type of thing. It's a good question. No one's ever asked me that. Why do I create content? I don't really know.
Well, I think it was relatable because you're talking about money and it's like, okay, let's say you have all the money you need to do what you need or whatever, do what you want. And then it's like, well, do you have the desire to like make it super monetized so you make even more money. It's like, okay, well, if it's not that, then like I feel like some people have some or I mean it can be good. helping people with a certain topic or whatever. Other people, it's like fun to create it, stuff like that.
Yeah. Like I think eventually if I
But
was to, make it big and things were able to get monetized, I would probably spend more money to have on more guests that I want to have on. Because sometimes if you want to bring in like a celebrity or something, it costs money. Like you got to pay an agency to do that type of
yeah,
stuff. So I think that would be kind of cool, where I would only spend money that way if I wanted to do it, because then it would just make my podcast organically better. I think that's how I would spend money. Yeah, no, I just want to do it to spread knowledge. I mean, similar to that, kind of how when you're creating content and you're working for a business. I mean, I know you organically are you're good at what you do naturally, filming and creating content and video business cards
practice.
and dealing with. And it's a lot of practice and stuff, but you genuinely want to help these businesses though.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's funny trying to like. It almost feels kind of depressing because like if you're looking at it from like a content of like, I don't know what I'd talk about. I don't know why I'd do it if I had all the money I needed, and then it's like, so it's like, okay, well, then it goes back to you saying that you don't need to be doing it. No, man, I mean, really, I was going to college and I felt just so lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And but I felt like I was supposed to be doing something impactful. Like I thought everybody felt that way. Like you're supposed to be like, you want to do something meaningful.
Right.
And I felt weird for feeling that way because I was like, well, I can't think of like any career that I want to do.
Hmm.
And then at the time, I think like with Instagram or YouTube, entrepreneurship became more popular, more feasible,
Sure.
and people are talking about it more. You start to like become more aware of it. And that kind of like led me to like, oh, like, yeah, that's right. Like every business owner I know is like really cool. Like they get to do what they want. Like they've made a lot of money. And then the more that I learned about these businesses, like they really just help people and in whatever capacity that they do it. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I think I heard it on some YouTube video because I still was like kind of lost. And they said like the most fulfilling thing you can do is just helping other people. So I was like, okay, how can I help people in a way that I enjoy it and I can make a good living? Simultaneously, I was like making videos, like I wanted to travel and stuff like that, and you're doing other types of videos, but it
Yeah.
wasn't super fulfilling. And then I found more about the business stuff, and that's been fulfilling to me. But that's why these conversations are kind of like funny for me, or like they're challenging because it's like I know I don't want to do this forever. Like to be, I mean, I feel spoiled saying this, but like I don't even want to do the same thing for like another 5 years. Like to where you're doing client work and like you're
Of
kind of
course.
like in the grind of everything and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, well, what's that next thing gonna be? And it's challenging to like look at yourself and what you want to do.
Well, I mean, it's no different than like looking at yourself in the mirror as your body changes and you get older, or maybe you gain a little bit more weight. There's something when you literally look at yourself and you step outside and mentally just kind of reassess and be self-aware. You kind of have a similar feeling when you look at old pictures of yourself and maybe you looked better back then, right, than you do now. And there's something that happens to us that 10 seconds, 1 minute, whatever long it takes, but you look at yourself and you're like, ooh, there's like this weird chill that you have where it's like, fuck, man, I used to do this. Like, what am I going to be like 5 years from now? And I think that's just all part being a human. That's kind of the scary part of, we all evolved, from, I mean, depending on what you believe in, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I mean, we all came from chimps, no? I mean, we
Yeah.
came from, not talking to using tools and evolving. I mean, that's what humans do, is we evolve and we adapt and we change, and I don't know if it's for the better, we continue to change. And on a daily and weekly basis, yearly basis, we're always changing and we're always thinking something different, and we always think the grass is greener on the other side. And I feel the same way you do. It's like, what am I doing in 5 years? I mean, it's tough, man. That's the challenging part, is not what am I going to do in 5 years, but within that 5 years, everybody else is going to be doing all these different things. And it's a lot of pressure. How are you going to get the things that you want? And what do I really need? Like, do I need to get a house when I'm 35? Do I need to have my own car? Should I get married? Do we have it at a church? Do we spend $20,000 on it? Like, what? There's so much shit going on out there, and we're getting so much information. And I think if we can more and more get into ourselves, and that's why, I'm saying I'm focusing a lot more on my mental health now that we're spending so much time indoors. We lose sight of a lot of that stuff with a lot of the noise out there, where we forget. Sometimes if you just sit back and you get away from the screen for a day, 6 hours, 12 hours, whatever it is, and you just focus on yourself and you focus on your well-being, sometimes that type of shit like you're talking about, like you don't know what to do, that sometimes it comes to you, because when you clear out your mind of all the bullshit, like a good practice for me is try this. I did this when I was unemployed, is take a bunch of Post-its, write out on one Post-it, I want to do this today. Or I have to do this, or I have to do this, or I have to do, and just write out on one Post-it is one thing. It could be something you need to accomplish. It could be a goal. It could be something stupid. It could be taking out Rachel to dinner, whatever. Put all this stuff, and wherever you spend the most time, let's say it's your laptop, put it around your laptop, screen, next to keyboards, on the table, on the wall, put all these Post-its everywhere, and then just sit back and think for a second. Look at everything, and you'll get some perspective, because you'll realize that all these tabs, these Post-its, that's all in your head.
Yeah, it's all thoughts. Yeah.
All that fucking clutter is in your brain, and you're thinking about that all the time. And it's kind of humbling. It's terrifying a little bit, to be honest with you. But I looked at all that, and slowly I just started kind of like picking it apart and doing it. Doing this, doing that, critiquing it, making it better, changing different colors. What I accomplished was like pink, you know what I mean? And what I need to accomplish is yellow. So like that practice, it really kind of opens up your eyes, because you're like, all the shit that is not on this wall, like what's on my phone and my followers on, none of that matters at that point when you're looking at that wall, right? Like it really puts things in perspective, where you're like, fuck, dude, none of this stuff on this device matters. Like it's all on this wall. It's all on this laptop. And it was interesting to see, and it made me accomplish a lot of stuff that I haven't accomplished in a while. And
Yeah, no, that's neat. Yeah, I got inspired recently, kind of random, but talking about this made me think about it. Like, have you heard about that hashtag Team C's that just happened the other day? Like Mr. Beast and someone else.
oh no, but I know Mr. Beast though.
Basically, they're partnering up with this nonprofit, and they have this like machine that collects trash that comes out of the rivers in these countries to where it and then goes to the dump. So
Yeah,
then they're working on like trying to make a better trash management system in like Dominican Republic and stuff like that.
cool.
And I was like, yeah, that'd be fucking dope. Like I want to make videos about that. Like it's changing the world. Like people, not that I have millions of followers, but the person helping creating that, it's literally, and they're trying to raise like $30 million. Yeah, that'd be fucking cool. Like
Yeah,
making videos that like are meaning something to people.
dude, that's huge. And if you're, I mean, you should do that. That's, reach out and DM as many people as you can. There's a lot of companies like 4Ocean. That's also a good company. The number 4 and then Ocean, 4Ocean. They're a nonprofit, and there's another company called Ocean Cleanup. They're also like designing this thing to go into the Pacific garbage patch, and that's where the current kind of takes everything. And there's multiple patches now, but these things are, miles long, and they're full of microplastics, and it's just disgusting. So this company, Ocean Cleanup, is creating these like ships to kind of take and collect things. And there's a lot of companies like that, but if you reach out to all those companies, there's got to be one or two that, even if you did something for 6 months, like an internship for free,
Yeah.
it'd be super rewarding, and it might be something that leads to bigger and better things for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's just kind of, it's funny looking at things from not a monetary standpoint.
And that's the hard part, no? Like, you want to be authentic, and you want to have like real content and do things you like, but you also enjoy clean water and a roof over your head too. So it's like you have to make money also. So it's kind of one of those challenging things. Whatever free time we have left, like what are you doing with like the free time I have? I obviously try to do the podcast, but I'm really passionate about this documentary that I've told you about, and we filmed for that a little bit, but I've just been so busy that we haven't got a chance to. But that's something that actually is costing me money. So I'm trying to be careful with that as well, because I got a wife and we're trying to start a family, so I don't want to spend a fuck ton of money. But I'm really passionate about it because I think people get a lot of value out of it. And, I want my legacy when I'm gone to, there's one thing that people could point out and say, I can't believe he, did that. He opened up my eyes on this. Like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Hmm.
So that to me is like something, and to your point, like if you were involved in that project, that's something you could go to sleep and feel good about, but
Yeah, that's the cool thing about videos too,
yeah,
or content.
yeah. We're so clouded, man, because everyone else is telling us the opposite, no? They're like, hey, man, you're never going to buy a house, or you're never going to be in the stock market if you don't do this and that. And you're like, oh, leave me alone. Why are we
Yeah.
talking about this? Yeah. But there's so much cool shit out there. It's hard not to listen, right? Because you want a nice house. You want to go to fucking First Watch because it's good food and a cool place to go, right? It's trendy. It's like, you want to do all this. It costs money though, but you want to do it.
Yeah.
So what do we do, Ben?
Shout out to that chia seed pudding.
Yes, bro. That's my go-to, son, with that granola and the blueberries and strawberries. Shut your lips.
I know. It's like the only vegan thing on the menu. That's how I know.
That's right. Well, that and the Avi toast. The Avi toast is a go-to. Yeah, man. But what do we do, Ben? What do we do, man? What's next, bro? Someone listening out there, they don't know what to do, Ben. Okay? They got a phone, right? They got a shit job. They're single. They're in their 20s. What do they do? What are they supposed to do with their life? There's so much going on out there, bud. There's so much noise.
Well, there's a book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying, and one of the regrets is not living a life true to yourself. So if there's something that you want to do, or there's something that you keep thinking about that you feel like you should be doing, there's probably a good chance you should just say fuck it and go for it.
Fuck yeah, Ben.
I was trying to just give you a soundbite there.
That's all
For
I'm
some
using it
content.
for. Yeah, the other 100 and, well, however minutes we're at, what are we at? An hour and 20 minutes? That was all garbage. But that last 30 seconds, epic.
That's what one of the coaches, my clients, I haven't even read the book, but that's he told me about it.
Yeah, that
I
is a
was
good
like,
one.
fuck, that's true. Not living a life true to yourself. That sounds. I
That
mean,
is
I was
great.
gonna be an accountant because I didn't know because they made 6 figures and it sounded like a secure job. Thank God I didn't do that.
Oh my God, you would have destroyed yourself, Brad.
Yeah.
There's another great book, The 4 Agreements. Have you read that?
No, I think I've heard of it.
Oh yeah, very very popular book. So, I mean, essentially I don't remember what they are verbatim, but like, I don't know if this is in order. So, but it's be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally, which is a big one. Don't make any assumptions, and always do your best. And that to me kind of is a great book. 4 Agreements, super cheap paperback, but very popular. Yeah, just overall, just there's some good nuggets in there for sure. And I think all of it kind of comes down to is be the best human you could be, and take things with a grain of salt, and don't let anything bother you. Because a lot of things that are out of our control. And as long as, like you said, as long as you're true to yourself and you're doing what you like, I mean, that's all you can do, man. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but as long as you're doing what you like, I mean, that's all there is.
No, I really like that because I think at some point, like if you're not doing something, or if you're not, if you're not doing what you said you were gonna do, or whatever, there could be a lot of mistakes that you make. You just start to like fucking eat yourself up with guilt and fear, and God, there's a lot of so having principles like that where you can like take action and live your life in a positive way, it helps. When that's one thing where I actually like that you just shared that with me. I wrote it down because it's one thing to like mentally think about these things, like, okay, where can I improve, or what's holding me back, what's like a thought that I've been having, and it's totally true. You need to have the right mindset, but like having some principles that will help you in a practical way of like how you're taking action, I think is really helpful.
Yeah, dude. No, and I think I'm glad there's 4 because 5 wouldn't make sense. Because when you're reading this book, I'll let you borrow it next time I see you. But when you're reading this book, you kind of envision, like, at least I did, when there's 4 agreements, I think of a table.
It's even. Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's even. You're right, though. It's like the foundation of everything. There's a lot of books out there, and there's a lot of great advice. and there's a lot of like, shits on t-shirts that make a lot of sense. It's kind of interesting because if there was 3 agreements, it wouldn't make as much sense. It's almost like you can start, and I was lucky enough to read this when I was in my 20s. So I think that kind of helped me build my foundation and allowed me to kind of mature and get older. This amongst many other books, but
It's like Think and Grow Rich. There's 13 principles. It's too much.
that's a lot. Yeah. It's a great book though. Yeah, I have that book too.
It is a great book. Yeah.
But goddamn, that's a lot.
I don't remember all 13, but
Yeah. Well, it's like some Anthony Robbins book, Unbreakable. I read that. I have that one too. And it's a great book too. It talks a lot about the stock market and ups and downs and the bull market and all that stuff. It's just a lot. Anthony, you're giving me fucking 15 different things, bro. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna remember these principles. I gotta explain this stuff to my wife. Like I need to make sure this is easy.
yeah, I just finished listening to Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and
Yeah.
it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Well,
Yeah.
there's some key principles, but like, it's just fucking like pounding you with information. But I mean, they do make it clear, but it's hard to remember everything, you know?
I want to be like the Bizarro Gary V.
What do you mean by that?
Like, like Bizarro, like Superman. There's Superman and Bizarro. You don't know Bizarro? You fucking
I don't think so.
you non-nerd you. Like Bizarro is the opposite of Superman. So like you go to his world and up is down, down is up, left is right, right is left.
Ah,
Goodbye when you arrive and you say hello when you leave. Like it's the opposite. He's evil.
yeah, no, I don't recognize that guy.
Yeah. Well,
That's cool though.
yeah, he's not a real person. You haven't seen him in the subway. No. Yeah. No, he's a fictional supervillain. I mean that in the sense of like Gary V's great at what he does, but he's a little too intense and he knows that and he identifies and he's self-aware and he's not going to change. He doesn't have to. But I feel like a lot more people could resonate with someone that's like has the same best practice that he does, but is it more objective, doesn't talk over people. Like he's so good at what he does. I love him to death. I still watch all of his stuff. But there's a lot. It's like Anthony Robbins. God damn, he's incredible. But dude, you're a lot to handle.
Yeah, calm the fuck down.
Yeah, like relax. So there needs to be someone that's the
Everybody
Bizarro
has their
Anthony
own cup
Robbins.
of tea, but yeah.
There's just so much pressure out there. So I think we accomplished a lot on this podcast. I don't know what I'm gonna call it yet.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro.
Hey, no worries, man. This was fun. You made it happen, even with your shitty Wi-Fi and everything. We turned into a good educational podcast. There's some great nuggets in there for sure. Out of an hour and 30 minutes, an hour is solid, bro. For real.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. America. Fuck yeah. All right, good things, buddy.
All right, bro.
See you soon, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy.